Welcome to the Quick Time Event Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, John.
Mothman's biggest fan.
The Quick Time Event Podcast is a chance for John and I to get together each and every week to talk about all of the nerdy things that we love. If you like what you hear, you can find this podcast live on twitch.tv/QTEplays every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also find it all across the internet on all of your favorite podcast services and on YouTube, where you can find the entirety of the video on demand and the podcast broken up topic by topic, day by day. This week, we're going to be once again talking about, I feel like we have three great topics that we continually talk about, probably multiple times, probably 4 or 5 times a year. We address these three topics. It's why does Nintendo do the things that they do? I hate so much about the things you choose to be. There's that one. I feel like we talk about GameStop very regularly, and then CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red is back in the news for a variety of reasons, and we're going to be diving into all of that here in a little bit. We also have a confirmation from a story from last week about the Sony legacy console stores, and we're going to be talking about some conventions. But before we get to all of that, John, what have you been up to?
So, I'm officially done with Phase 2 of Marvel.
Nice.
Watched Ant-Man.
Is Ant-Man the last one in Phase 2? Where does Phase 2 end as far as...
That's what at least the Disney playlist had it. They said that Ant-Man was the last in Phase 2, and then Civil War starts Phase 3.
Gotcha. So it would have been... Was Doctor Strange Phase 2?
No, Doctor Strange is right after Civil War.
Okay. So the last, team-up movie you watched was still Ultron, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're getting to the good
Civil
stuff.
War is a pretty big team-up movie.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. So you're in the thick of it now.
Yeah, for sure. And this is where everything is now 100% new to me.
Don't forget, after Civil War,
Spider-Man.
Yes.
I got to figure out where do those fall?
So Spider-Man Homecoming takes place immediately after Civil War.
So after Civil War should be Spider-Man and then Doctor Strange.
That's how I would do it.
Okay.
And then Far From Home is after Endgame. So as soon as Endgame's over, that's the next one. So
once I'm done with the movies, move on to Far From Home.
Yeah, so once you reach Endgame, which is the last movie that's out, unless technically Black Widow is probably going to be out maybe before you finish it. I don't know. I would do a Far From Home, and then if you want to dive into the Disney Plus stuff after that, or Black Widow, whatever you want to do. But Far From Home is the last one that's come out.
There's still probably about 2 months worth of movies between now and then. So
sure.
Ant-Man was very different than every other Marvel movie.
It really is. Yeah.
I had a feeling going into it. I was like, this can't be like the other Marvel movie. His power is to shrink. That's obviously you can do really cool things, and they're very creative with that power. But just conceptually, that doesn't lend itself to these huge superhero fights that level cities. You're gonna have damage, but it's gonna be maybe not nearly as much. So whenever they went with the whole heist approach, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. That's
sure. I really feel like with Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn just nailed he finally figured out how to make a comedic comic story in a movie. Because up until then, you start off with what I really think pushed superhero movies into a new era with the Spider-Man movies. I know that the X-Men movies came out before Spider-Man, but I really feel like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movie really just set this course for us.
Yeah, for sure.
But you look at those Spider-Man movies, you look at the Spider-Man movies that have come since then, you look at the first phase and a half of the MCU, all of the DC movies, obviously.
Yeah.
None of them were able to nail the idea of comedy in any way. And that sucks when a lot of your characters are quippy. You have Spider-Man and Ant-Man falls into that range, and Guardians of the Galaxy obviously is all about like that just family, we hate each other dynamic type thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But I really feel like James Gunn nailed how that should be portrayed in a movie. And after Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a clear switch. Like there's a clear moment where there's the MCU before Guardians and the MCU after Guardians. And you start to see that humor wove much, much more into everything that comes after it.
Yeah, and it's natural. It's not forced.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And so like Ant-Man is, you couldn't tell the Ant-Man's, like Ant-Man would not be an engaging movie if they tried to do Iron Man 1. Like it's not like, I mean, Scott Lang is a doofus. And like it's they poise the story around how big of an idiot he is essentially. And like the best, my favorite thing, one of my favorite things in the MCU are some of the fight scenes in Ant-Man when they play with perspective. And
I love that. I was going to bring that up, but yeah, the like the creativity and the way that they did some of those fight scenes with like just the instant flash from this crazy one-on-one battle to all of a sudden like just a little Thomas the Tank Engine that just gets chucked across the room.
I couldn't remember if that was an Ant-Man 1 or Ant-Man and the Wasp, but yeah, that Thomas the Tank Engine thing is just, it's so fucking good. I love it. It was so
brilliant because like you go from all these explosions and like action to basically I could have just walked into a room, chucked that thing really gently rather, and it just kind of clatters on the windowsill.
Yeah, for sure.
That was so good.
And I love the dynamic of like there's like that ragtag group of like they're thieves essentially.
Oh and
yeah,
like his crew.
Yeah. And it's just that movie is so good, and I feel like it's so underrated, but
yeah, it was very enjoyable. It was very different from the other Marvel movies, I think, at least kind of like story-wise and thematically. I feel like sense.
I feel like the weakest part of that movie was when they put Falcon in it, and they kind of forced that scene, and it kind of makes sense because it's the only way that. So Ant-Man's going to show up in Civil War, and it's like the only way that they could bridge that, like from a.
Yeah.
There was no way to bridge that narrative without that scene, but I feel like that scene.
There was a post-credit scene which showed Cap, Falcon, and Winter Soldier, and I was like, "Oh boy, we're getting Civil War next, aren't we?"
I kind of feel like that could have been a post-credit scene, though. It's just like him, I don't know, being in the Avengers compound or something. I don't need that. That didn't need to be a whole big scene, because I feel like that was the only piece that kind of it didn't really fit. Like it was just kind of like, I guess we got to go to the Avengers compound and take something.
Yeah, it felt out of context for sure.
Yeah. But you're in the thick of it now. If Civil War's the next one, you got big character introductions coming up. You're going to find out a lot more.
Proper character introductions. I know basically everybody, but like...
Sure.
Yeah, there's some characters that I know bits and pieces about. So, yeah, get ready for the next 2 months where we're going to have like 10-minute discussions on Marvel movies at the start of each podcast. Took a little break from Spider-Man because I wanted to feel accomplished. So I played a shorter game that I got on PS Plus.
Which one?
I played Concrete Genie. That was a really fun game. That was really, I really liked the way that they like, I don't know exactly what they call it, but the controller being kind of movement based. Did you play Concrete Genie or no?
No, it's one that I missed out on when it came out. I also got it on PS Plus, and I've been meaning to play it, but I haven't found a time.
It's really, really enjoyable. At least I really liked it. The one thing I didn't like about it was the facial animations on the characters. They did not look great.
Pixel Plus is a small studio.
And that's kind of what I figured. But like the art and like the actual environment and everything that was not human, I thought looked great. It all looked really, really pretty and fit the theme of the game. But it was really, really fun, and I think it said that it was PSVR compatible.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means like you can full on play it in PSVR or if there's only like free play mode you can play or something like that. But it would be a really fun game to play in VR for sure. Like as I was playing it with the 3D controller movement detector thing, I was like, man, if I had those two little orb controllers from the new PSVR, this would be so much fun.
Yeah, it looks it's super stylistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked
and
it
again,
up.
other than the facial details, like it's like you have this pretty solid character model, 3D character model, and then you have like this like almost scribble face drawn on that is not animated the best. But otherwise, yeah, really no complaints about that game. It was a lot of fun. It was very charming, and it did not overstay its welcome. It was like a 5 or 6 hour game.
Yeah.
I think I played it in one day.
So Pixelopus, this is what I thought, but I just wanted to confirm. Concrete Genie was their second game ever. The first game they made was Entwined, which was a game that they showed it off at E3 one year. It's a really small game. No one remembers it. It's not like this bastion of indie development or anything, but it was kind of cool because basically after Journey and sort of Sony had not a contract, but I guess it was a contract. Sony had the rights to basically 3 games from that game company, and it was Flow, Flower, and then Journey. And then after Journey, Sony kind of went out and tried to find the next that game company to continue their indie development, essentially.
Catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
Flight,
and so
whatever.
they found this like small indie dev team from was it Carnegie? Some university. They were students, and they basically contract this team as like 6 students to make Entwined for them. And that ended up being Pixelopus. And so I think they've grown a little bit, but I think it's a less than 20-man development team. It's an indie-focused studio. I think it does look like it is owned by Sony Interactive Entertainment, so it's a first-party studio, but it is a first-party indie studio.
Yeah.
So
a little baby one.
Yeah. So the facial animation, I mean, I'm seeing that still with bigger studios. Like when I'm looking at things like even like Life is Strange doesn't look that great. And Life is Strange, again, is like those teams are bigger teams. I would think that they should have a little bit more ability to do mocap and stuff like that. But
you would think.
I feel like that's also going to get easier over the years too as we keep going. I mean, you see people like Code Miko doing mocap in their living room while they're streaming, and it's getting kind of crazy. So I think that stuff is eventually going to transfer over into game development for smaller publishers too. So I think that we might see that grow even more significantly this generation.
Yeah. Accessibility for game development is 100% going to be on the rise. I mean, it makes sense as we get more advanced technology. It becomes cheaper for the everyday person like you or I to get our hands on it. And I mean, I forget what the website was now, but that one website that you had gotten a couple courses off of. Oh,
like Coursera or Udemy.
Just the information you can learn is so much more accessible too, not just the technology itself. Sure. So
yeah, and with websites like that, it's sort of there's somebody that's going in to curate that course for you. It's not like you're looking. I mean, YouTube is a great resource. It's a great free resource. Anybody can go on YouTube and look up how to do something. But the good thing about like Udemy and Coursera is that somebody put thought into how the course is structured. And maybe they're not like academically trained and maybe they don't know how to do it perfectly, but at least there's a structure there. So if you're somebody that needs structure, that's an added bonus for you there.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be more the traditional learning experience instead of kind of piecemealing it together with tutorials that you kind of have to go and seek out yourself.
Right.
But point being, yeah, I can definitely see more and more indie developers popping up in the next couple of years because like it's just becoming so much more accessible. But yeah, I think that's basically it. Concrete Genie was really fun. I would definitely recommend that you give it a shot. You, the listener, you, Josh, anybody, if you have a PS Plus, it was free for a while. I don't think it is anymore, but I don't know. Yeah, otherwise, as always, and as will be until maybe the end of this year, more One Piece. Trucking along.
Have finally
almost at the halfway point.
Nice. When did you start? I feel like I asked you this a couple weeks ago, but
I think you did too. And I honestly, at this point, I'm forgetting when I started.
That's fair.
I know it was fall. I just don't know exactly which month. I think it was October, but it might have been November.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're less than 6 months in then, so.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll be done by holiday season this year. That's, I guess, my goal is to be caught up by then.
I finally finished the Apex Legends Season Pass. That is done.
Is it dead to you now?
It's definitely dead to me now. I'm definitely taking at least a season break from that game. It was fun to get back into it, and like mechanically, it's by far still, and this is something we said back when we first played it, but it's by far the best battle royale game out there from a mechanics standpoint. The way it feels, the way it looks, the added hero abilities gives it something. It gives a lot more flavor than something like Fortnite or Warzone, where it's just like kind of standard fare.
Yeah, everybody is different, but it's like aesthetics and that's it.
Yeah. So it's still really great. I just got my fill of it. I started getting, I mentioned this last week, but I started getting like annoyed at teammates, and I was playing competitive and I didn't necessarily want to play competitive, but when I played non-competitive, it didn't feel right. And I do think there's something there with their matchmaking and with the non-competitive piece. I don't know how their matchmaking works. I don't know if they have like an MMR system like Overwatch has, where even if you're not playing competitive, they still try to match you with people of similar skill.
Yeah, you have like some kind of hidden rank.
Sure. Even in quick play, there's a hidden rank that you have that assigns you, and it's not perfect, obviously, but it assigns you with people that you're not going to steamroll, hopefully.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
I wonder if there's a way to access that.
There's not.
rank.
There's not. It's very, very, at least not in Overwatch. It's very clear that that's a secret thing that only Blizzard knows. Blizzard doesn't even say how it works. We know how SR works in competitive, obviously, because that's how you climb the ranks in competitive.
Yeah.
But in the MMR, so there's the SR and the MMR. The MMR, no one knows. We have no idea how that works.
One person at Blizzard knows.
Oh yeah, Blizzard knows. They know. They have it under like a lock.
No,
and key.
even everybody at Blizzard, nobody knows
Just
except for
one person. It's Papa
just
Jeff.
one person.
Papa Jeff knows. He's
he
it.
knows.
He's it. It's like as safeguarded as Kentucky Fried Chicken's 12 herbs and spices or whatever. So yeah, I am gonna put Apex down for quite a while. I am so close to finishing Persona 5 Strikers. I'm so close. I am at the final dungeon. I have basically uncovered the last major plot twist. It's just wrapping up the plot at this point.
Sure.
I did turn down, and I might get some looks for this, but I turned down the difficulty to easy just to breeze through the rest of it. I felt like I got my fill of the combat by hour 35 or whatever.
Sure.
So I turned down the combat to easy, and I'm just blowing through the palaces, basically.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you weren't having fun and now you are having fun, that's the point of the difficulty scale.
Sure.
Like, you don't have to play it to challenge yourself. You can just play it because you like the characters and you want to see the story play out. Like, it's why those things exist.
And
if anybody DMs Josh and shits on him, just you wait.
I saw an article. I think it was on, I don't know if it was on Kotaku. Maybe I saw it on Reddit or something. But there was an article that somebody wrote that it was a bunch of Twitch streamers that were basically complaining about their chats, like berating them for playing games on easy mode. It's like, well, first of all, get better communities. Community out there, If you're watching this, if you're part of our community, be nice to people. That's really the root of everything.
Not just us. Be nice.
Everybody.
If you're watching somebody else, if you're watching a stream, don't be a douche.
Don't be a dick. I'm trying to decide if I should talk about this now or next week when I've finished Persona 5 Strikers. I think I'll just say it now and maybe not talk as much next week. But I don't know that... I think part of the reason why the game has taken me so long to complete is that I've enjoyed it a lot, but there wasn't really something that hooked me in the same way that some of the events in Persona 5 hooked me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the plot was... I don't want to say they're treading over stuff they've treaded over before, but it wasn't like anything that was shocking or like it didn't... I already know how that world works, right? Like I already know how the metaverse works essentially. I understand these characters' dynamics and I'm loving seeing more of that, but there's not too much that's new until about halfway through the game when you pick up a new party member. You get a new party member at the beginning of the game, but there's a lot of mystery surrounding her and you don't really get anything about her until the very last dungeon that I just finished. So like at the end of the game, you find out about her. But there's another character you pick up about halfway through the game, and his awakening and like what's driving him to participate in this group and everything is really interesting. And then the stuff that just happened for the character I mentioned before that joins right at the beginning, that's like the magic that made me fall in love with this series. So like now that I've experienced those moments, it reawakened it reawakened my like passion for those games. Yeah.
Nice.
So it was kind of cool how that happened. I wish it didn't take 40 hours to get to that point. And it wasn't like I wasn't not enjoying the stuff before that. It felt not new. In the same way that like it took me forever to get through Persona 5 Royal because it didn't feel new. This game also didn't feel new, even though I feel like it maybe should have. And I don't want that to be a knock against the game, but I didn't get hooked by it until these like really powerful moments, these character-driven powerful moments happened, which just so happened to be towards the end of the game. So, yeah.
That's fair. All valid.
The other thing that I started last Friday was It Takes Two with Janet. We're playing through that game together, and it's really good.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it from Twitter.
The story is kind of like,
Is it predictable?
It's not that it... no, it's not. It's not predictable at all. It's just like, I kind of feel like the game... And maybe this is unfair, but I kind of feel like the game has something that it wants to say about love or relationships or whatever. But it's not doing a good job talking about it. Like, these two characters who are supposed to be mending their relationship aren't actually dealing with their relationship. They're collaborating and they're getting their way through these puzzles and stuff. But I don't know how that like really lends itself to solving their marital issues.
Here's a question, and I don't know if you'll have the answer. How far in are you?
About a third.
So it could get better, maybe, from that perspective?
Possibly. Although I'm a little jaded too because the Polygon review said that it never does. So
okay.
I don't want to take Polygon's word on it, but I'm kind of expecting it to stay at this like service level.
Sure.
Again, they're not, there's some stuff there, but they're like, I don't know. If I was about to get divorced, I don't think that the conversations that they're having in this game, I assume they're going to end up together at the end of the game. I could be wrong on that. But if the entire purpose of the game is to collaborate, I kind of feel like at the end of the game, they're probably not going to get divorced. But if I was in the position where I was going to get divorced, I don't think that this experience would change my mind about that, basically. And it's like these two characters, they don't hate each other, but they clearly are not happy with each other. And it's like, neither of them wants, it's not like one side is trying to drive it. They're both like, we're done with each other, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that, but with all of that said, though, the gameplay is really, that's the best part. Joseph Ferris came out a couple weeks ago and was like, hey, if you don't like the game, if it's not fun, I'm going to pay you $1,000. In the way that Joseph Ferris is ridiculous and says stuff like that. But I don't know how you could possibly play this game and then like with a straight face go up and say, I want $1,000. I don't think there's a way you could do it. It's that fun.
Is it like, I wouldn't want to play it this way, but is it single player?
No.
Okay.
You have to play with a partner. There's no matchmaking.
So you have to know that person.
Yes.
To an extent.
Yeah, right. You can probably find a partner, a random on the internet to play with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You could just post on a message board and be like, hey, I want to play this game. Add me on PSN. Here's my name.
Sure. But yeah, no, there's no matchmaking. You have to have a partner. The good thing is you don't both need to own the game. So as long as you both have the platform, one of you can download. There's a free version of the game you can download.
Okay. They had something like that for Nintendo DS games.
Yeah,
I think I forget what it was called, but like, as long as one person had the game, there was like a multiplayer, not demo download, but like
exactly
some kind of weird little mini download.
I think it's called a friend pass. I think if you search It Takes Two, you can. There's obviously It Takes Two the game, and then there's an It Takes Two friend pass. And I think that it's the same size. It's just when you download the friend pass, if you get the code from your friend and you enter it, then you can both play the game together. So only one of you has to own the game to both play it. So you don't need to buy it twice. So as long as you can find somebody that has the same platform that you do, because I don't think it's crossplay. There's that. So that's good. But yeah, you can't play it by yourself. The puzzles are like the part that's fun about it is, first of all, just the ridiculous scenarios that are going on.
Sure.
I'm gonna spoil something. It takes place in the first maybe I shouldn't. There are rodents that come up, and it's just the most fucking ridiculous fucking thing I've ever seen, to be quite honest. It happens at like the first level, so it's not like it's that bad. But yeah, there's just like the ridiculous hijinks you get yourselves into. It's crazy. But then the mechanics change basically every single chapter. So you and your partner both get some sort of ability, and then the puzzles throughout that chapter require both of you to use that ability or those abilities. And they're both distinct abilities. So one person, like in the first chapter, one person gets a hammer and the other person gets a nail, and you have to figure out how to combine those two things to get through the level.
I wonder how.
But it's not like it's one set mechanic through the entire thing. It's not like you use those two things the same way every single time. So in the first level, you can throw the nail at a wall, and then the person with the hammer can swing off the nails. But then at another time, you like have to use it in a completely different way. And they ramp up I say the difficulty. None of the puzzles are really that difficult. It's just they're different. So they like change how the game plays throughout that entire chapter. And then by the next chapter, you get a completely different set of mechanics. So like nothing ever gets stale or old. Then the last thing I'll say about it is that you can definitely play it with someone that's game illiterate. You do not need to have somebody else that plays games to be able to do
Don't need to have two a pro gamer team up.
No. So yeah.
What makes you say this, Josh?
I'm not even judging Jan. I mean, Janet plays Mario games. She knows how to do a platformer. It's just like the difficulty of the game and the puzzle. It's more about communication. So as long as the other you can communicate with the other person, you can. It's not something that you could probably play over like text chat. You would have to have voice chat.
Sure.
But yeah, it's really good.
Sounds like a good game.
12 to 15 hours. I think we're hoping to finish it by next week. Now that I'm not playing Apex Legends anymore, that should be easier. But
nice.
I will definitely go ahead and give that one a big old recommendation, especially because of the couch co-op piece of it. Even if you're not on the same TV, it's still split screen. So you have to play the game in split screen no matter what.
Okay.
And because at certain points you have to see what the other person's doing basically to be able to progress. And just like the nostalgia of playing a game like that, because I don't know.
Even if I was playing it alone, like in my house with another person, just having it be split screen would make me feel a little warm and fuzzy inside. I'd be like, oh, there's a there's something I'm not controlling on the screen. This is co-op.
Is this co-op?
Yeah.
No, I mean, because the only other split screen game I think I've played in the last decade has been like Mario Kart. Occasionally, we'll play Mario Kart co-op, or not co-op, but couch competitive, I guess, on the same TV. And so like that's the only like interaction I've had with a co-op game in years.
Sure.
And to have a split screen, there's something about a split screen that's just better.
Yeah, it's weird because like that means you have less screen space, so it should feel worse.
Right. Would I want to play that, or would I want to play like that like all the time? No, but
no, God no.
Yeah, like I mean, you think about playing like the Halo campaign split screen, and it's like you have literally half the screen width. You can see like nothing as you pivot around.
Basically, you have tunnel vision. It sucks.
Yeah. But it was so great at the time.
For sure.
So there's a lot of nostalgia involved too. But again, I will recommend that game.
All right.
Anything else?
I don't know.
I have one other thing, and that is it's almost Extra Lifetime, but not Extra Lifetime like our normal Extra Lifetime. Extra Lifetime like Reward Extra Lifetime.
Yeah, and I thought we had agreed or come up with a name for the top tier reward, Extra Life.
Did we
was that a fever dream?
I don't know. I feel like we keep I at least I keep calling it the sequel Electric Boogaloo, but
that's right.
Maybe we call it Extra.
It goes by many names.
Extra Life 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yes,
we'll just put a bunch of sequel stuff in there, and that's what we'll have.
Perfect. So that people know that it's not the first one.
Yes. So coming up here, we are doing our rewards from the 2020 Extra Life campaign. You all, our faithful listeners, have helped us raise $1,000. We've raised over $1,000, actually, like not 1,500, but like 1,150. I think was almost $1,200. I think for
somewhere in there
for nationwide last year. And as rewards for that, we are over halfway through our Let's Play series. So we have been doing that since last November. But we also have 2 more rewards that we need to get out. 3. I forgot about Bob Ross 3. That's something that maybe we'll do that during the Extra Life stream to Electric Boogaloo stream.
Yeah, that'd be a nice little break, a little breather.
Yeah. So we have to do that, which I forgot about. And then we have to do a 12-hour Overwatch stream. That is coming up next. Well, I guess this month. It's April 1st. April 17th, Saturday, April 17th, starting at 10 a.m. We are doing our 12-hour Overwatch stream. 10 a.m. Eastern time to 10 p.m. is when we will be playing Overwatch. We haven't exactly figured out what we're going to be doing in terms of like how that's going to go, what kind of rewards there's going to be if you make donations, because during those streams, we are also going to be raising money for our 2021 campaign. So I already know that like if you donate a certain amount, I think it's probably going to be like $5. You can choose the next hero we play or something like that. But I'm still coming up with those things. But look out for that stream coming up on the 17th of this month. If you want to play Overwatch with us, let us know when you want to play, and we will send you an invite. Because
join the Discord. It'll make it a lot easier, I think.
Yeah. That's a plug for a Discord server. Link in the video description below on YouTube and in the Twitch panels. The Discord server is popping. Come get in that Discord server. Come be friends. That's where the voice chat's going to be. That's where you can talk about video games, nerd culture, anime, movie, TVs, internet videos, whatever you want.
All the things.
But come join that Discord server if you want to play Overwatch with us during that. Again, the 17th of April is when that's going to take place. The next weekend, April 24th, I am participating in Extra Life United, which is a tournament hosted by Extra Life. There's a variety of games being played. I think Among Us is definitely being played. They're playing board games, chess. I forget what else is in there. The only other one that I do know is Fall Guys. I am signed up for the Fall Guys tournament. And if I place 16th or higher, we will receive an additional reward for Extra Life. That is going to be streamed right here on this channel. This Overwatch one's going to be streamed on this channel too. 4 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday the 24th.
How long is it? Do they like have a time frame?
I think it's. I have no idea. I know that
if it's like, okay, you're going to play Fall Guys for 8 hours straight. It's like, oh no.
No, it's not that long. There's multiple rounds to it. So basically you earn a certain amount of points based on how high you place. And at the end of the total rounds, whoever has the most points gets the prize money, essentially.
It's the grand prize.
Yeah, so the most I can win if I win first place is $5,000. I think the lowest amount is $750, which is, for our donations, in the past at least, more than half. So yeah, it'd be great to have a really high head start on this year's Extra Life. But yeah, that's going to be the 24th of April at 4 p.m. I'm going to go live before that. I'm probably going to go live around 2 p.m., maybe 3 p.m. to get a few practice runs in before starting. I'm probably actually going to stream, for real stream, like the week before that. Just Fall Guys stream for a few nights.
I think I mentioned this on the on the Let's Play, but I can log on, and maybe other people can log on too if you want. I think we can get a squad of 4, and we can a squad of 4. Hell, and
yeah. There's even a squads. There's like a squads game type now.
Oh well, I was gonna say we would all log on, and we would like Rocky Balboa train you, and just really go out of our way to try and hold you back, make you overcome. I'm
gonna need a montage. Even Rocky had a montage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing some training, some Fall Guys push-ups, if you will, for that tournament.
Running up the stairs at DC.
Yeah. And Philly?
Was it? Maybe.
I think it was Philly. I don't know. Okay, here's the thing. I've seen like half of Rocky 3, I think, and that's it. So I'm not the best person to talk about Rocky with, but anyway. A month from then, on May 29th, no.
That's right, May 29th.
May 29th, Saturday, May 29th. That is going to be...
Memorial Day weekend in the States.
Yes, that is going to be Extra Life 2 Electric Boogaloo. That is our 24-hour stream, our 24-hour reward stream for the 2020 campaign. So that we don't know what we're doing yet. That is going to be up in the air, because we finished Overcooked 2, so we can't play that for 8 hours this time. We'll have to find something else to play. But that's going to be, again, the Saturday, May 29th from 8 a.m. until Sunday the 30th at 8 a.m. Also going to be raising money for the 2021 campaign. The real Extra Life stream for this will take place, or for 2021 will take place in November like it always does. This is just the reward for 2020. Okay.
Lots of stuff coming up.
I think that is all we need to get to. That's all the housekeeping we need to get to. So let's get into our news.
Time for the news.
First up, from Polygon.com, Patricia Hernandez writes, Cyberpunk 2077 players show game is still a mess despite hundreds of fixes. It's been a little over 3 months since the disastrous launch of Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red's highly anticipated open-world game starring Keanu Reeves. During this time, the Polish studio has released a few updates for the game, including 2 major ones. The March 1.2 patch takes aim at everything from police AI to small but funny oversights like typos. The list of fixes is long, but based on what Twitch streamers and YouTubers are sharing post-patch, it seems that Cyberpunk 2077 is still looking rough. Right now, most of the top Twitch clips of the game hail from the streamer Vinesauce's recent broadcast, which the personality showcases a number of remaining glitches. The most common type of glitch, which is popping up repeatedly on social media, has to do with spawning cars. When players call in a ride, the game will spawn all of the vehicles in the same place, sometimes leading to complete mayhem, as cars explode against each other, or the game struggles to render so many objects at once. There also appear to be a number of physics-based hijinks, according to the other clips from the stream. Driving in general still seems to be hit or miss. In one YouTube video uploaded by Kev Dewitt, the player throws a grenade into the distance, prompting every single NPC to step out of their car in unison. Then he looks away for a split second, and every one of those people disappears into thin air. These are but a few hitches highlighted in the nearly 4-minute video. The same footage also shows that the police aren't quite up to par yet. Sometimes they kill the player instantly, sometimes they despawn mid-chase, and other times they completely ignore crimes happening right in front of them. Similarly, other clips floating around at the moment don't paint the game in a very positive light. Simple things like aiming down sights are still not working correctly according to players trying the patch. John, the game is still a complete and total clusterfuck.
It sounds like they might have broken more than they fixed.
Does sound like they may have broken other things as they tried to fix things.
Now, I don't know. Is that impressive? I don't know.
I don't think it's impressive because I think that this stuff happens.
Sure.
As you write more code, there will be bugs in that code, which could then impact other pieces of the code. I think the impressive part is that they still don't seem to have QA for whatever reason, or at least QA that is doing the job that normal QA teams like. This is supposed to be this major patch, which they talked about in the roadmap. The week after the launch of the game, they came out and they said, okay, look, the game is a clusterfuck. We're going to put out like these small stability patches right now. And then in the first quarter of 2021, we're going to put out 2 major patches. And these major patches are going to drastically improve the quality of life in the game.
It's going to make it a new game, basically.
I don't know that they said that. I think they just said this is going to like drastically improve the functionality of the game, essentially. This is one of those patches. This should have been a new like step forward. Like this should have been a positive thing that happened.
Yes.
But obviously there's still fixed, a ton that's broken. And I want to now go to the actual news press release that CD Projekt, the actual patch. Notes. Why are you frozen?
It is so long.
It's so long. That's what I wanted to like. Okay.
It's absurd.
It really is. It's probably like, I love patch notes. First of all, I love reading patch notes. I don't know what it is about patch notes, but I love it. Every time we get like an Overwatch patch notes list, I fucking love reading that thing. But this is a fucking novel. This is, if you put this into a Word document,
I'm gonna do that right now and see how many words.
I want to see. I don't know how many pages it is too. Like 12-point Roman numeral font or Roman Times New Roman font. How many fucking pages is this? Because it is so much. There's a section for gameplay where they outline a ton of stuff. There's a section for quests. There's a section for open world and cinematic design. Like they addressed, or at least they thought they addressed, a ton of issues. I mean, to be honest, they did address a lot of stuff. The thing is that addressing these things at least didn't help the core pieces of the game, or it broke other stuff.
What size font should I use?
Let's do 12.
12? Okay.
12 Roman Times New Roman.
It is basically... Where'd it go? What the hell? Open back up. Don't be a bitch.
It was too many pages. It shut down.
It was upset. It was very mad. It looks like it is... Well, what's your guess? Do you have a guess?
40?
You know, you're actually kind of close. It is 33 pages. Technically, it goes on to page 34, but that page has like a single line. So 33 pages. Do you want to guess how many words?
No, I don't. Well, I think hold on. I think that like standard 250 words per page is sort of a standard, I think. So 250 times, so 25 times 35 is...
Oh, okay.
What? I don't have a calculator anywhere. I have a computer here. I could very easily
Just type it into Google. 250 times 35. This is the math section of the podcast.
almost 9,000.
That's not bad. It's a little less than that, probably because of all the bullet points that take up space. 8,057 words.
Okay.
I did not include. So I started from the words gameplay on the patch notes.
That's fine.
And then I went down to right above the comments where it says and many more.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which is concerning because wait, there's and many more. You didn't list it all after 35 pages of text.
They listed all of this shit. And then for some reason they're like, well, there's more stuff, but this is obviously too ridiculously long at this point. So we're just going to stop.
And many more, by that they mean, oh, and we also broke a ton of stuff. That's the many more.
I don't want to be tinfoil hat. Yes, I do. I love being a tinfoil hat person on this podcast. My tinfoil hat conspiracy here is that they didn't fix anything that they didn't fix anything that they needed to, that they knew people were expecting. They fixed all of this little shit. And so what I would have done,
little 5-minute fixes, like
what I expected was for them to come out and have a normal fucking patch notes thing. That's like, okay, here are the major things we fixed that like, these are going to be noticeable things that you can see, especially on the console version. And then like most of these are very like highly specific things. Like, okay, fix an issue where enemies at the crash site in the specific quest were not able to attack the player at range. First of all, how many people played that quest?
Yeah.
Second of all, how many people actually had that issue? Like, that's not an issue that, even if you had played that quest, if you read that patch notes, would you have remembered the name of the quest? Probably not.
Hell no. Unless this game, despite its glaring issues, became your favorite game, there's no way in hell.
No. And so, like, I really feel like they're hiding behind this wall. They're literally hiding behind a wall of text where it's like, we're going to just write.
Look what we did. We fixed it for you.
And either they're hoping that just the sheer size of this patch notes is going to make people be like, okay, they're trying their hardest, or they don't read it at all because it's way too long. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know.
They're being cowards. They look like Chicken Little.
You are a coward, CD Projekt Red. It's just like, this was supposed to be a step towards getting this back on the PlayStation Store, and it does not look like that's going to be the case.
This was supposed to be basically what happened with The Witcher 3, right? Where they had like a big patch that... Didn't they have a big patch that fixed a lot of things?
The Witcher 3, the thing about The Witcher 3 was, yes, The Witcher 3 had patches that improved the state of the game, but when The Witcher 3 came out, it was a 10 out of 10 when it came out. Like, it ran well enough, and then they added stuff to the game after the fact, and that's what made them the company they are. I think you're thinking of the first Witcher, the Witcher 1, which had... Maybe. That game was a total piece of shit when it came out, and then they had the Witcher Enhanced Edition, which fixed everything.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
They didn't do that.
They did not. They sure didn't. And we're now in April. We are now out of Q1. We are 5 months into the life of this game. This is their first major patch.
No, we're more than 5. It came out September.
No, it didn't. It came out December. What are you on?
You sure?
Yes. It was delayed.
Oh, that's right. September was one of the old dates. I forgot that it had like 18 different release dates.
Right. So it was delayed a bunch, and then it came out December 12th or something.
Yeah. It was supposed to be September. That was like the last delay before the last delay.
The last delay that shouldn't have been the last delay. We're 5 months in, and it took them 5 months to get out this patch. The next patch is not coming out. I mean, it could come out in the next 2 months. But after 5 months and we get this patch, what are they going to fix in the next 2 months that's going to make any considerable progress?
Nothing.
Towards the state of the game. Yeah.
Nothing at all. Game's dead.
The game is dead. So I feel like this is going to be every 3 months we'll check in. When the game launched, we had a podcast and we shat on the game for a long time. And at the time, I think we all said, okay, here's the roadmap. They put out the roadmap. They need to act on the roadmap. They need to be transparent about the roadmap. And they need to show us and achieve deliverables, essentially, to fix the game.
Yes.
A couple months ago, I think we revisited that very briefly. I can't remember what we were talking about at that point, but they were in the news and they did...
Wasn't that when they got hacked and they were like, hey, your source code's going to be given out?
Yes.
And they were like, well, whatever.
Yes, they were hacked. And at the time, this patch hadn't come out yet. And I was still a little bit optimistic about them turning the game around a little bit. I have no hope anymore.
No, faith is gone.
Honestly, I would not be surprised if the next gen version of the game is just canceled. I would not be surprised if they're just like, you know what? We're done with this.
Yeah.
And we'll get there's another topic we'll talk about in a minute here that I think might play into this, but like, I think they just need to move on. I think for the best case scenario for them is to move on. I think that, again, in the story we're going to talk about here in a second, they're making some decisions about their marketing philosophy that will hopefully help fix some of this, but they need to just like make this game be stable and then move on. Because at this point, even if we get next gen edition of the game, it's not going to be out this year at all. I mean, I don't know what they would have to do to get it back on the PlayStation Store, because I did see something somewhere today that they essentially said this is up to Sony now. Like, we are ready to put it back on the PlayStation Store. It's up to them to make the decision.
They were ready to put it back on the PlayStation Store before they patched it.
They were ready to put it out on the PlayStation Store at launch. Like, this company, man, this company is just something else.
Hey, you know how we said we don't want Microsoft to go buy anything else? Microsoft, you can buy them. You can buy them if you like make them fix things.
I think they thought about it. I really do think they thought about it, because Cyberpunk had all their marketing with Xbox. I don't doubt that if Cyberpunk came out and was the game that it was supposed to be, that they would be next on Microsoft's block.
Oh, for sure.
Especially when you factor in GOG. Yeah. Like, they would be able to merge the Xbox Live Store or whatever, or just call it GOG, or like they'd be able to merge those two things into one, and then they would be able to compete with Steam and Epic and all those people. Like, it makes so much sense for Microsoft to buy them, but not anymore.
They blew it. They could have got on one of those $8 billion deals or whatever.
So, Cyberpunk, or CD Projekt Red rather, had a investors meeting or something. What was it?
Are these the same investors who were like, "Hey, wait, why did the game release if it wasn't ready?" Who had no idea what was going on?
Let me just read this article. Brendan Sinclair over at GamesIndustry.biz writes, CD Projekt moving to parallel development. Witcher and Cyberpunk Studios' new strategy calls for juggling multiple AAA projects going forward. Digital Scapes acquired to form foundation of new CD Projekt Red Vancouver studio. In the wake
So they couldn't make one game, so now they're going to juggle multiple games.
That's what they're saying. In the wake of Cyberpunk 2077's release, CD Projekt is overhauling its development strategy. The company today announced an initiative dubbed Red 2.0, intended to create a transformation of the studio and a change in the way it develops video games. Starting next year, CD Projekt plans to work on multiple AAA games and expansions simultaneously. Under its previous approach to development, the publicly traded company went more than 6 years between major releases, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Cyberpunk 2077. We want to be sure that we can work with the two global brands at the same time while ensuring top quality of our products. We emphasize technological advancements, and we want to set up versatile teams which combine various specializations and competencies. These teams will be further assisted by a cross-projects group of experts who, owing to their expertise, can contribute to key aspects of development. To that end, CD Projekt today announced the acquisition of Vancouver-based Digital Scapes, a team of around a dozen developers that partnered with the company on the last couple years of Cyberpunk 2077's development. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. Beyond the move to parallel development, CD Projekt Red plans to have shorter marketing campaigns that show their games running on every platform where they'll be released. That's about it. So they're going to move to parallel development teams so they can develop both The Witcher and Cyberpunk independently at the same time.
Now they can ruin people's faith in The Witcher at the same time.
And they're also going to have shorter marketing campaigns that actually market the game the way it should be on all of the consoles that it's running on. Who would have thought that would be a thing that you'd want them to do?
Who would have thought that that's the thing that you would need to do? Like that you would have to actually make the decision to do that. I thought it would just be an understood thing that it should run.
One last story to add on to this is that CD Projekt is being very, very cagey about the state of something else that it promised, being a multiplayer version of Cyberpunk 2077. This article comes from Joe Screbbles over at IGN.com. CD Projekt promises not to confuse anyone again, then confuses everyone again. CD Projekt yesterday being, I think yesterday, actually, Thursday, CD Projekt performed an extremely public self-reckoning for the messy messaging of Cyberpunk 2077. The company made clear that it will change its policies on marketing to avoid misleading and disappointing players, many of whom were left confused by the intended final version of Cyberpunk 2077 after years of updates. Unfortunately, while doing so, it managed to confuse investors and consumers alike about a whole new issue. As part of a strategy update presentation, CD Projekt President Adam Kaczynski, my best friend, explained that the company had reconsidered its plans for a Cyberpunk 2077 multiplayer component mode, but failed to fully explain what the upshot of that reconsideration will be. While we knew that the company had previously been working on a AAA Cyberpunk multiplayer experience alongside the single-player game, it was never clear whether that was a standalone game, an expansion of the existing game, or a hybrid between the two. In previous earnings calls, Adam Kaczynski has made clear that a separate team was making multiplayer, and that we at CD Projekt think about it as a standalone product, but crucially never went as far as saying it would be released as a standalone product. Kaczynski's comments yesterday don't clear that up. Neither do they actually specify what's now happening to that project. Previously, we hinted that our next AAA game would be a multiplayer Cyberpunk game, he explained, but we have decided to reconsider this plan given our new, more systemic and agile approach. Instead of primarily focusing on one big online experience or game, we are focusing on bringing online into all of our franchises one day. What? What?
They need to take a vacation. They need to take a step back and just reevaluate and stop.
That article went on to talk about so The Witcher's getting multiplayer one day. Okay, fine. But I don't understand still what they're fucking trying to do with anything.
No, neither do I.
So, okay. I understand that you wanted, obviously something critical happened last year and for multiple years, thinking that this game was okay to ship in the state that you shipped it. There was a fundamental breakdown on the base level of understanding when it comes to the stability of that game and whether or not you should have launched it. So there's something that needs to change for sure.
Yes.
So, okay, you're going to change the way you develop games. You're going to have multiple teams developing your IP, which is smart because, The Witcher is a huge franchise at this point. Cyberpunk has a lot of name recognition. I guess.
Not very good at this point, but it does, yeah.
It has name recognition. People know what that is. So you want to figure out how to develop both of those IP at the same time.
Yes.
Great. You're going to do that by basically breaking your teams into these smaller, more agile teams is what they keep saying. So they're siloed. Where have I heard that before? Like, yeah, okay, let's make these siloed teams, right? They're all going to have their own specialty, their expertise, as that one article said, where they're all going to have this thing that they're really good at. And they're going to work on all of our IP. Like, here's the multiplayer team. They're going to bring multiplayer to all of our games. And they're going to work on The Witcher, and they're going to work on Cyberpunk. Don't you feel like you have to address the elephant in the room before that, which is your communication needs, like, there's communication issues you need to address before you get there.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like that's there. And then they continue to break the trust of their consumers, where, granted, they never, like, I mean, they've talked about this multiplayer Cyberpunk thing before, but they never gave us anything definitive about what that was actually going to be. But they still said it was a thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, to say that they are, or that they were developing a AAA multiplayer experience for Cyberpunk, and now that is no longer a priority for them. There's a positive to that, which is that hopefully they take those resources and they put it back into Cyberpunk to make it a better game before they think about that at all. But at the same time, they're continuing to break the trust of the people, their fans.
Yeah. They keep on making promises and not keeping them.
Right, because this game was supposed to be everything. This game was supposed to have so many features, and it was going to be like a video, like a defining moment for video games. It was going to be the next gen, not next gen like next gen consoles, like the next generation of video game. This was going to be the start of a whole new line of games, in the same way that something like Oblivion was a change for RPGs back in the day.
Yeah.
Or World of Warcraft. Like, this was going to be a new defining game. And it didn't have anything in it that even remotely resembled that. No. And so you promised all this stuff. You didn't deliver it in the game. And now you're coming out and you're saying you're not going to deliver on the other promises that you had already made. That's not a good look.
They need to take a little break. They need to shut down. They need to reevaluate. None of which is what they're going to do.
Clearly not. They're going full steam ahead with 2 development teams now.
Yep. That won't talk to each other.
No. What is the next thing they do? I assume they're going to continue patching Cyberpunk. But, like, when do they announce their next game? You have to think they're working on The Witcher 4. They have to be.
Yeah.
Their marketing cycles, they've said, are going to be smaller. They're going to be shorter. So let's say it took 6 years to develop Cyberpunk. It's probably going to take 6 years to develop The Witcher. I think the hope is that the next Cyberpunk game will not take 6 years after The Witcher. So yeah. We're talking about 2025, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say 2024, 2025.
So do they just go dark until then?
Honestly, they should at this point. Hopefully they do. But we'll see. I'm so confused.
Obviously.
As to how they are, like... they are even worse than Nintendo in terms of being an enigma to me.
Obviously, they are... This is a hot topic, obviously. And until their next game comes out, anytime anybody can get even a little nugget of news about CD Projekt, there's going to be articles written and discussions had about them.
Yes.
They're
in the spotlight and not in a good way.
No. Do you, like, I kind of compare them to Rockstar, because I think them and Rockstar are sort of on similar development timelines. Not in terms of quality or anything, but, like, we get a Rockstar game these days. We get a Rockstar game every decade.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And Rockstar never fucking talks about their shit. They haven't talked about GTA 6 at all, ever.
Nope.
There hasn't been a leak. There hasn't been like, oh yeah, GTA 6 is something we're working on. Like that, nothing.
What if they just aren't? They just haven't told us yet. It's just
honestly,
like,
they could
hey,
be.
GTA is actually dead. We stopped development at 5. We're just rolling in the cash at this point.
But even Red Dead, like GTA 5 came out what, 2012?
I think so, yeah.
And we got
almost
Red Dead
10 years ago.
Yeah, and we got Red Dead in 2017, I think.
Yes, that sounds right.
5 years, similar to 6 years with The Witcher to Cyberpunk.
So we should get GTA 6 next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
10 years after GTA, 6 years after Red Dead 2.
Right. But my point is, like, no one asks. I mean, everybody's interested in when the next GTA is coming out. But every time there's like a little nugget of something, it's not a huge fucking wave of news like it is with CD Projekt.
People don't microanalyze it.
No. And so, like, I almost feel like in order for CD Projekt to recover, they need to go away. They need to stop having these. I think they might be a publicly traded company. I don't know that for sure. I see that their investor calls and stuff get leaked all the time, which would lead me to believe that at least maybe it's a Polish thing. Maybe like Polish companies have to be open about their investors or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I just feel like they need to stop. If they can, they need to stop having these investor calls and like these private company strategy meetings leaked to the press, because every time they do, it's just going to be this again.
Yeah, they're just turning up the heat on their own hot water.
They need to go away. They need to stop talking. They need to fix Cyberpunk. And then they need to, again, go away, hibernate, and not talk for 5 years until they get their next game out.
Yeah.
That's not what's
That is 100% not what they're going to do.
No. Not at all.
And they'll never learn. Their only saving grace is that it's the internet, and people tend to forget things on the internet very, very quickly. Case in point, remember all the stuff happening with Super Smash Bros. With Nintendo, where everybody was like, "Oh, boycott Nintendo." No, you lasted like a month,
if that. Yeah. Now the news about that is, oh wait, Sony bought Evo. What about Smash Brothers Evo? And then Nintendo is like, I don't know. We might. We'll not.
See.
We'll see. There was something else I was going to say, but I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I really want them to fix it, because at the root of it, I really do feel like there's a great game in Cyberpunk. Yeah. This is what it was. You just mentioned like the memory of the internet is so short.
Yes.
It was even short for Cyberpunk. I mean, it was very intense, but a month later, no one's talking about Cyberpunk anymore. No one's talking until like a news story like this flares up, and then everybody piles onto it. But like, no one's calling for Sony to reinstate Cyberpunk onto the PlayStation Store. Like, there's no hype for that game anymore.
No, they murdered it.
And not only is there no hype for it, but there's really no, like, for the most part, these like bugs and stuff, I don't see anybody going out there and like crucifying CD Projekt for it. They're just like, at this point, it's just a disappointment, and everyone's just like, yeah, doesn't that suck? All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
There's not like vitriol anymore.
The pain is over. At this point, literally, they're kind of in their best position right now in regards to Cyberpunk, because I don't think they can really disappoint people any further than they have already. Case in point, this new giant fucking patch comes out that breaks the game even more, and people don't really care. They just expect it.
Right.
Like, the internet is not up in arms against them. They're just like, they're the I don't know what I expected meme, where
don't open, dead dove inside.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected. It was a dead dove.
That is the internet right now with Cyberpunk. Except inside of that dead dove bag is a dead Cyberpunk game.
Oh, ew.
Yep.
That can't smell very good.
Oh, smells bad.
Let's move on to an update from a story we talked about last week, which is Sony's legacy console stores. They officially pulled the plug. Well, I guess they officially announced that they're going to pull the plug on the PS3, PSP, and Vita store. This article comes from Marie de Alessandri over at gamesindustry.biz. Sony has shut down an old web version of the PlayStation Store, which let players buy PlayStation 3, PlayStation Portable, and PlayStation Vita games. As reported by Eurogamer, the URL... Is this an old story? No, it's not. Okay, as reported by Eurogamer, the URL for the old store stopped working over the weekend. Reset Era users noticed that the URL previously let players access older games, which had been dumped when Sony launched the new version of its online store in October. The URL now redirects to the new shop. Old PlayStation games can still be purchased from the console themselves, at least for the time being, as this comes off the back of rumors that Sony was to permanently close its stores for the PS3, PSP, and Vita. Update. Sony has confirmed in a notice on PlayStation.com that it will close the remaining storefronts for PS3 and PSP on July 2nd, with the PS Vita store shutting down August 27th. After those dates, users will not be able to purchase content through the storefronts or make in-game purchases on those platforms. However, Sony said that those who previously purchased games or video content will still be able to download them again, and those with vouchers for specific games will be able to redeem them. They also mentioned, this was not in the article, but they did mention that if you cross-buy a game, so if you, like, there are games that are cross-buy, so if you buy the PlayStation 4 version of the game, you might also get the Vita game for free. You will also have access to those games as well. That sucks.
I don't understand how that works. Because my understanding was that they were closing these stores down so that they didn't have to run the website and keep the servers up and could save money off of something that they're not making money on. But if you can still download it, you just can't buy stuff anymore. I don't understand.
I'm thinking it probably has to do with the accounting. Like,
sure.
Every time they sell... I don't think that Croc is a game you can buy. But let's just pretend for a second that Croc is a PS1 classic you can buy.
Sure.
Who developed Croc?
I have no fucking clue.
Croc, Legend of the Gobos. Developed by Argonaut Software, which was defunct as of October 1, 2004. So theoretically, every time you buy Croc, that check has to go somewhere. Like, Sony has to cut a check to somebody for that.
Royalties and all that.
Sure. And so, like, a lot of those older games, either those companies are defunct or they were purchased. I mean, you look at the state of the games industry, and almost everybody that was an independent developer back then has been acquired by somebody. So, like, we're talking about probably a nightmare when it comes to accounting and purchasing and that kind of stuff.
Where the money's got to go at the end of the day. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't think the server space is that big of an issue. I don't think that renting the server space or owning the server space for those games is probably what they're concerned about. It's again, I think most likely on the finance side.
Sure, that makes sense. Still sucks.
It does, for sure. All of my hope from last week concerning like backwards compatibility, I still feel like they might announce some sort of backwards compatibility, at least expanded backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
I feel like that is something that they can still do. I'm just like, it doesn't make much sense to me because I do see, I mentioned last week, I follow somebody that develops games for Vita, and they just received a notice that said the Vita store shutting down. Like, if it was going to be a true backwards compatibility thing, theoretically they should still be able to launch that game if it's going to live on a new storefront in the future. But since they said that no, we're done, I have less faith in that.
You have your doubts.
For sure. And then contrast this with what Xbox is doing. And I don't know if this was just timing. I don't know if this was like something they decided to push out because they could, and it
capitalized on the bad publicity of Nintendo and PlayStation.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this week, yesterday even, Xbox Wire, which is the official Xbox news outlet equivalent to the PlayStation blog, put out an article that says the backward compatibility program is headed to the cloud, starting with a collection of classic Xbox and Xbox 360 games. Most of them are first-party games. We're talking about rare games. We're talking about Viva Pinata and Banjo-Kazooie and Perfect Dark and Fable and Oblivion. It's so weird me like calling Oblivion a first-party Xbox title, but there it is.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we're talking about first-party games going to the cloud through backwards compatibility. And then someone, they tweeted that article out, and someone replied to it, "Congrats, you're doing an excellent job adding these valued extra features at no additional cost." And then Xbox replies to that and says, "As time goes on, it becomes more important than ever that we ensure gaming icons and classics are preserved for new and old players alike. Whether your first time playing Morrowind is from 2002 on your Xbox or 2021 on your phone, we're excited to share these experiences with you." Subtext, you know where you can't find these experiences? On our competitors' platforms.
Nope.
So like,
also, we are 100% behind game preservation, which apparently some other companies aren't doing.
it's just like, it's free real estate.
Yeah.
They don't even have to try at this point. They're just like, man, aren't we living large right now?
Hey, we can do something probably pretty easy that'll make everybody happy that our competitors are doing the opposite of and making everybody mad. Let's do that. Yeah.
This is what happened with, and maybe this is why they were so friendly, like when Fortnite became a thing a few years ago. When they were like, yeah, Xbox play, like you can play with anybody. Crossplay, yeah, we're all for crossplay. Because it's just so easy. They don't have to do anything. They're not losing any money. It's just, it's so easy for them to just be like, well, we can dunk on them. And we're not even like directly attacking them. This is 100% an unforced error. And we can just capitalize on it. This is like fumbling the ball on the 1 yard line and then the other team scoring. For all you football aficionados out there. Like, I don't know how much easier could it get? And you're Microsoft on top of it. You're selling fucking AR headsets to the US military for 3 Bethesda's worth of money. Did you see that article today? I didn't put it in here because it's not gaming or nerd culture related. But Microsoft is selling HoloLens technology to the US military. And I think that it was on Polygon, but for it was on Kotaku for 3 Bethesda's worth. Like,
Jesus.
What is that? $24 billion? That's
a chunk of change.
It's a little bit. Like, Microsoft can do whatever they want, but this isn't even costing them money, theoretically. This is just so easy for them.
And if it is, this is not even a drop in the bucket. This is like a molecule in the bucket.
And it really feels, honestly, like something that they could, like, they saw the fuck up. They waited until they got confirmation that PlayStation's closing down those stores. And they're like, okay, just flip the switch. We're good. Yeah. It's exactly like crossplay.
We've had this ready to go. We were just waiting.
It's exactly like crossplay where Psyonix was like, oh, we accidentally enabled crossplay on Rocket League that one time. And there were Xbox people playing with PlayStation people, and sorry,
we weren't supposed to do that.
Oops. We did it though. It's a thing that can happen very easily, and Microsoft just flipped the switch.
Literally, just all you have to do is flip the switch. Like, you just have to go to the server room. You see that big red button?
Just push the button.
Just push that button.
Push the button, Frank. But again, I still have some little slim piece of hope, because I do feel like PlayStation, which has been on the back burner in terms of news for the last 6 months, since Microsoft announced they're acquiring Bethesda, PlayStation hasn't had great press. other than like the success of their console, the PlayStation 5 is selling tremendously, and they're obviously very proud of that. And I don't know. That aside, though, they haven't had any like positive press lately. They've all been on the back burner to Microsoft, and I really feel like they see that and they need to respond in some way. I don't know what that response is, but something as easy as backwards compatibility. I say easy. I think I don't know that it's easy, but when it's something that everybody is asking for, has been asking for, it's something you plan for with the PlayStation 5, implementing PlayStation 4's architecture into PlayStation 5 so there's no gap there. Like, it's something you're obviously thinking about.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's why I think it's easy. And I'm sure that somebody who understands coding and like how technology really works could correct me. But if you have like 10-year-olds and teens who can put an emulated console on their computer, I get that the PlayStation isn't like a PC tower computer, and maybe there's some limitations built in because it's a specific interface and motherboard and blah, blah, blah. But if you can do that on just a regular ass tower, there has to be a way to pretty easily do it on your own branded, essentially PC.
Right. Well, it's not like
is your own fucking properties and IP. Like, there's no excuse.
And when you're employing some of the smartest people on the planet to implement that stuff, like you have fucking Mark Cerny heading your hardware development. Like, he can figure it out.
This isn't a
he
ragtag
probably
team.
has figured it out.
Yeah. Do you have that Switch ready to go? You're just playing coy for some reason? Why?
I think I'm embracing the tinfoil hat thing. I think I'm just going to go out and have more hot takes. This is something I'm going to be better about in 2021. It's just going out and having more hot takes. Here's my
be honest. Be upfront.
Here's my new tinfoil hat conspiracy about this.
I can't wait until we get you a real tinfoil hat.
I'm gonna maybe like get another headset that's like wrapped in tinfoil or something. Here's why I think they haven't done backwards compatibility. I think it's stubbornness about PlayStation Plus. Because PlayStation Plus, they bought Gaikai. They bought Gaikai back in 2013 or whatever, before that maybe even, so they could have backwards compatibility on PS4. Because to Sony's credit, maybe not their credit, but at least I like to corroborate some of their issues. The PlayStation 3 was a monster. It had a completely different processor than an X84, 284, whatever the standard processor
Technical
is
terms, yeah,
that everybody uses. It was totally different. It was a cell processor. And so everybody that developed games for the PlayStation 3 had to develop it differently than they did for PC or for Xbox, which ran.
They pulled a true Nintendo move.
It was completely proprietary. Like, there was no way around it. And so I do think there are some issues. There are some technical limitations there with porting games from PS3 to PS4 directly.
Sure.
I think a lot of the ports that we've gotten from the PS3 generation on the PS4 were from the Xbox version. So like when we got Dark Souls Definitive Edition or Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, those were probably the PC or Xbox version of the game ported to the PS4, not the PS3
Save
version.
as .ps4.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I do think there are some issues there. And they bought Gaikai to create this PlayStation Plus service so they could stream those games. So you didn't need to port the game because it was streamable, which, I mean, Xbox is doing now with xCloud. But at some point they need to realize that that service is never going to be the service they wanted it to be. I think it's selling fine because they've kept it around, whereas we've seen some other services that they've discontinued, things like PlayStation Music. They announced a couple weeks ago they're discontinuing the movies. You won't be able to buy movies or TV shows on the PlayStation Store anymore.
Yeah.
So like they and you see that, and I almost wonder if they are addressing this and they just haven't given us the entire picture yet. Because they have made a lot of big moves. They closed they officially closed the website where you could buy PS3 and PS Vita games. They closed off the movies and TV stuff. They have a new store for the PS5 that is completely they completely redid it. And now we get this information. And then you look at some of the stuff they provided in the PlayStation 5 ecosystem with the PlayStation Plus collection. Like to me, it really feels like they're starting to lay the groundwork maybe for like a new service. I don't know that it's PlayStation Plus. I don't know that it's going to be comparable to Game Pass or whatever, but like I can kind of see them laying the groundwork for what's next. I hope that we get that though this year. I hope that like on the back of all this stuff that they're closing, they come out and they address how they're going to fix it essentially.
Yeah.
They have to come out and get a win, and I think they come out and get a win by telling us one, that they're thinking about these things that we care about clearly as consumers, and then giving it to us essentially.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be we announce it and then 2 days later it's out.
No.
Just knowing that they are acknowledging it would be, definitely a major win.
They acknowledged that they were working on changing your goddamn PSN name for years. Years. I would just love it if they could just give us the same amount of attention to backwards compatibility and say, you know what, we're working on this.
Yeah.
So yeah, my tinfoil hat thing is that I really do think that they are working on these things. I think that the groundwork that we're seeing being laid with closing some of these stores, I hope is positive because it's going to allow them to build something new or implement something new that is more cohesive and more universal. So it's not just we have 4 different stores where you can buy games, but it's this one platform. You might even have to buy the games again, but they're here for you now, and they're not going to go away.
At least you can.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do feel in my heart of hearts that they're aware that these are issues, and that they have to have something in their back pocket to address some of these issues, because it's not going to be good for them if Xbox continues to have good press like this and Sony just kind of sits on their hands. And that's not the way they've operated. That's not the way the PlayStation has operated for the last generation. Not to say that they could have changed and like now they're sitting on their laurels or whatever, but it's just, this is not uncharacteristic, but it just feels like they're being quiet. And I think that they're doing it on purpose, or I'm hoping at least that they're doing it on purpose.
For sure. Let's just hope that it's true.
Okay, so let's wrap up this podcast with a little discussion about some conventions.
Oh boy.
Should probably open the articles though. Most of this I don't actually have to read. PAX East got canceled due to COVID-19.
Surprise, surprise.
Sure. PAX is normally in July, so I mean summer, that totally makes sense. They also said that there's going to be some sort of digital event for that, but I don't really know like why would you attend that? Like what kind of panels?
I don't know either. Yeah. I guess we aren't really good experts on this because neither of us have truly been to a con.
No.
And likely won't for at least another year.
It's just like, I feel like all the panel, the reason people go to places like PAX, especially PAX, is for the community aspect of it.
Yes,
like
100%.
When you look at something like Comic-Con, you're going maybe for the community, but you're also going for the exhibitors. You're going for to find out about the major movies or comics or whatever is coming out next year, the major TV shows. You're going to see those things. You're going to maybe cosplay. You're going to get autographs and to buy merchandise and to see that kind of stuff. Like there's something physical you're going for.
Yes.
Same thing with E3 or with Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show or something like that. You're going there for a reason, and it's to preview games.
Yeah. If I the way that I would think about it is your experience at those things would be exponentially better if there was nobody else besides you and the exhibitors. Whereas at something like PAX, your experience would be far worse
Right.
if it was just you and the exhibitors. Like, you want to meet up with people. You want the community. You want to go to the artist alley and see all this stuff. Like,
and the other,
that's why you go to that.
I feel like, especially with PAX and with something like RTX, is yes, you want to meet with other fans, but there's also that idea of meeting with like the content creators that you like. And so, like,
who aren't exactly celebrity status, but like,
sure,
also have a couple thousand followers on Twitter or whatever social media platform that you know them from. Because
those people would probably be putting on a panel or doing a signing or something like that. You would be able to go and meet the people you want to meet, probably.
Yes.
And you can't do that online.
No.
Not only can you not do that online, but I also,
like, at that point it's a Twitch stream.
That's the exact thing. Is I feel like most of those people have already satisfied that niche. Like they already do that. Like why would Kinda Funny, for example, put on a PAX East panel when they could just stream on their channel like they do every single day? Like there's no incentive to really do that other than to put PAX in your name or whatever.
Yeah.
It just seems weird.
Little bit.
Again, it makes sense for something like the next one on this list, which is Tokyo Game Show, because
where there's a thing that you want to see.
Sure. So Tokyo Game Show 2021 will be online as well. This is later in the year. This is actually surprising a little bit to me, at least. But Tokyo Game Show will take place Thursday, September 30th to Sunday, October 3rd, and will be online only. They are also, in the digital edition, planning for it to be English friendly. I read that somewhere. I think it's in the article. I'm not going to read through it.
Maybe I'll actually pay attention to it.
Yeah, because usually Tokyo Game Show is obviously intended for a Japanese audience. And other than some of the reports we get back from people in the games media that go to those, we never get the presentations. Because they do presentations there, but they're in Japanese and they don't get subbed. And so we never see them.
Yeah.
It's like when Nintendo does a Japanese direct instead of an English direct, or they do one for the West and one for Japan. We never get the English version of that.
No.
And so that's going to be online. And that one makes sense. Because, again, they're showing games. There's going to be demos there.
There's a reason for it to exist, even if it's in an online format.
And then the next major thing that happened today is that the ESA came out and was being kind of shady, to be completely honest. So a couple weeks ago, E3 announced that they were going to go digital only and that they would share their plans for the showcase in the near future. They still have not done that. However, video game VGC, Video Game Chronicle dot something. What are they? Videogameschronicle.com. Which is a website that's growing in popularity. But they reported that the ESA had put in place essentially paywalls for certain things.
Yep.
Things like demos and certain events, possibly previews, that kind of thing. The ESA came out and denied those rumors today and said, no, it's going to be completely free. Which is fine, except that Video Games Chronicle, Andy Robinson, who's their chief editor, like, he had a ton of sources corroborate this. It wasn't just like one random source that came up and said this. He talked to a lot of people, and apparently this is something that it either was being changed day to day or was being was widely reported amongst game developers, at least. And if you go on his Twitter account, he has a kind of a thread about this, but like, essentially the root of the issue here is that the ESA was being mean to the press. They were being passive aggressive and somewhat antagonistic, I think, to this report when the report had factual information in it. And they're making it seem like, no, like, why would you fucking say this? It's that Vine where the guy gets punched. He's like, fuck, I can't believe you've done this.
Yeah.
Except that it's true. Like, multiple sources corroborated this. And if the ESA decides to change their mind, fine. But don't beat the website down about it.
You got caught. Don't be a shithead.
Yeah, so Andy Robinson came out and he wrote a tweet about like, so here it is. Here's some real news. VGC's E3 story came from actual documentation and verified sources with knowledge of its plans. We don't post nonsense, and I wish the ESA had provided us with a statement ahead of publishing, because VGC also notified the ESA they were publishing this story before they published it. So the ESA could have just came back and answered them, but they didn't.
Oh, good.
They did it passive-aggressively after the story.
Real shitheads. Yeah.
Yes. And so that just leads me back to why the fuck does this matter? Why does E3 matter?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Jeff Keighley tweeted after VGC ran the story before the ESA denied it. Jeff Keighley tweeted, free to play, #Summer Game Fest. Jeff Keighley, if you don't remember, quit E3 last year because he was fed up with how the ESA was handling the showcase to create the Summer Game Fest thing, which was the only real news we got last year for video games for the summer.
Do you think that's really why they literally just changed it to not have these paywalls after seeing Jeff
Keighley's thing? I wouldn't.
They were like, oh fuck, we can't.
Damn it! Now we got to compete with Keighley. God damn. I don't know. It's just like I look at again what everybody's been doing for the last year, and everybody has their own direct style now. We don't need the ESA. We don't need E3. We really don't.
Nope.
And for them to come out and to be
bullies,
quite
for no
honest,
reason.
Be bullies, but even to have those thoughts in the first place. Like, okay, we can't have the showcase, so we need to make money. So let's put stuff behind paywalls. When they give journalists passes and stuff, like, it looks like they were just trying to make money off of the pandemic, essentially, which doesn't...
Basically,
it's not a good look.
No. Especially whenever, like, okay, if everything's online, your expenses are way down.
Way down. And you theoretically... I think demos would be hard to do this, but maybe not. I mean, you see a demo that's put on the PlayStation Store, they could very easily do something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But like to make someone pay to watch a trailer when that trailer is usually available to everybody for free on the internet, and to have access to literally how many people are on the world? 10 billion people.
Yeah, whatever the number is.
Everybody that has access to an internet connection could theoretically pay to watch this. Obviously, that won't be the case, but your audience is huge. So it to me looks like they're just trying to capitalize on the fact that this is going to be much more open, so we can make a lot more money.
Yep. Bad look.
Not a good look.
Bad look, and you got caught, and now you're being dicks.
Further reinforces in my mind the notion that we don't need them anymore. We don't need E3.
No, E3's dead. Goodbye, E3. Goodbye, old friend.
You wanted too much money. You flew too close to the sun.
You got greedy.
Are there going to be any cons this year?
I don't think so, because even if the entire United States is vaccinated by summer, I can't believe that you could get a con together in like that short amount of time. Like, that leaves you less than 6 months.
Yeah. In the PAX
There's
article,
no way you're going to have a good con if you have like 5 months to plan it and do it in December.
Yeah. In the PAX article, they did mention that they're still hopeful that PAX Prime and whatever the other one's called were going to take place. But like, I don't know. I think that like sporting is going to go back to normal. I think that we're going to see a lot of things look like normal. It's just like when you look at conventions and the idea that it takes place basically entirely inside.
Yeah.
And
with the same circulating air.
Same circulating air, and conventions even before the pandemic were notorious for spreading disease.
Yeah.
Like the con flu
or whatever
is just something that everybody accepts as a reality of conventions. I don't see a world where that happens this year.
No. Like hygiene is just god awful at those. And sure, it's probably pretty fucking rough at sporting events too, but like
at least it's outside.
At least you're outside.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Oh well. Next year. Probably.
That's
Hopefully.
That's all the
We'll
news.
see.
That's all the news I had. You got anything else for us?
The only thing that I was going to mention, and I'm honestly kind of sick of it, but I do feel like we should at least address it, is goodbye, old friend. Mario, it's been fun. Mario's dead.
How long?
I can't tell if CNN took it seriously or if they didn't get it, or if they got it to the point where they seriously questioned it to join in on the meme. But like even they, I think like questioned it. They were like, "Oh no, Mario's dying!" Like gamers are concerned that Mario's dying, and it was like, "Oh no, you don't know what this is, do you?"
Oh, baby girl.
Either you don't know what it is, or you did it really well to the point where you bamboozled all of us.
Sure did. Were there any good April Fool's jokes this year? Like, did you see anything? IGN had this really stupid one about Zoom. Like, it was a Zoom battle royale about fucking FaceTime battle royale, basically, and it was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. They try and like force something every year.
Sure.
I don't think I saw anything this year that was like a true gotcha moment.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. The one thing I saw where I was like, "Oh, you piece of shit." There's like a Zelda music account on Twitter that'll just like post a song from a game every day or something, and they'll like label it and they'll put the art from whatever game it is or what section of the game it's from. And so they tweeted out the the caption was Breath of the theme, which is like calm and relaxing and stuff. And when you clicked on it, it was the song from when you're fighting a guardian, which is really stressful. So like that got me for a second.
You bastards.
Yeah. But no major things where I was like, where I got bamboozled for real.
The only I didn't get fooled by anything. The only thing that I do appreciate though is Overwatch on April Fool's Day. Over the years they keep adding stuff to it. So initially, I think in the first couple of years they just had this. There's like I don't know, like basically there's a chat filter for anybody that plays Reinhardt. If you type anything in general chat,
I remember this. Yeah,
it'll all become caps locked, and it's whatever you type. So let's say you say hello or GG. Let's say you say GG.
Yeah,
it'll be capitalized GG X, like 3 exclamation points, and then it will be one of Reinhardt's like voice lines. So it'll be like catchphrase or precision German engineering, or I am the ultimate smash. Like, it's just like ridiculous Reinhardt being loud, basically. And then last year, I think, was the first year they did googly eyes, and so all of the characters in Overwatch have these really huge, dumb googly eyes that just like bounce around. It's so ridiculous. This year, though, they put out an experimental patch. I talked about the experimental card on this podcast before, where they basically test. It's like a really quick beta, essentially, for a patch. So if they want to tweak a character, they'll put out this experimental patch for a week and let people play and test it, essentially.
See if it's going to break the game.
Sure. And so they put out this experimental card today that just is so fucking weird. They basically took every sarcastic comment or like the most intense comments or the most popular comments about character tweaks that they get, and they implemented those changes basically on every single character. So like, for example, they made Mei a tank. They literally moved Mei into the tank category, made her bigger, and like gave her some buffs with her abilities. They made Pharah, like one of the big things with Pharah is basically when you use Pharah's ult, you automatically kill yourself because you're basically a sitting target in the air.
Yeah.
And that and your rockets can kill you as it is. So it's like if you ult as Pharah, you're probably going to die. They addressed that by saying, okay, we're going to make Pharah be able to move while she's ulting, and this will prevent at least one more death in the patch notes. The patch is so ridiculous, but it's like so well done. There was the one with the Roadhog's hook is now on a 4-second cooldown unless he misses, in which case he gets very depressed and the cooldown doubles.
Oh,
It's like, I love just their sense of humor about it. They didn't try to like trick anybody or saying, hey, Overwatch 2 is out or whatever, but they take like their world and like make fun changes just to have a laugh, basically.
you know, this is all really good, but that just made me even more upset about the CD Projekt thing. Because like, why don't they just have, you don't even have to have a QA department. Just have this fucking experimental card for your game. Oh my god, that's just so annoying. Whatever.
Yeah, April Fool's. CD Projekt Red's a good company. They listen and they do good stuff over at that Polish place.
You got jokes.
A 12-person development team. They just went out and randomly acquired a 12-person development team for Vancouver. What could they possibly need 12 people for that they purchased an entire studio when they could have just went and hired 12 people? Like what?
Yeah, I don't get it.
What is that?
I don't know.
That's so
Maybe
weird.
we'll see. Maybe we'll see sometime soon.
So weird.
Maybe it's just a scapegoat. They're gonna blame the next patch issues on
It's
this.
all
They're
on
gonna be
those
like,
Canadians.
Hey, we hired this Montreal team that's supposed to be great, and I mean, listen, we trusted them and they screwed it up.
Yeah, look,
so.
I mean, we're so good over here in whatever town in Poland they live in, but over in Vancouver, no.
Nope. Awful.
Breathing in that Pacific Coast air. Not good for you.
Bunch of idiots. They're all high all the time.
Yeah. Anything else for the good of the order?
I think that's it.
We're both scheduled for vaccines.
We are.
We might
And then a trip to Mothman.
Mothman trip is happening, folks. We're going to see the Mothman.
I'm excited. I'm scared. I'm truly a little terrified.
Worst case scenario, we'll just go across the river and go back to Ohio real quick.
Mothman can't cross that border.
We have some podcast downloads in West Virginia. We've gotten West Virginia downloads before. I'm not saying anything about West Virginia. I'm just saying that people who create an entire museum to a folk legend, there's something there that is missing from, I think, the vast majority of people in the world.
Or there's something there that
we're
the vast
missing.
majority of people of the world don't have.
Yeah.
Either way, something is different.
And it's scary, okay?
Yeah, a little bit. I did see a friend of mine actually went to that town. And I saw a picture of the statue.
Can't wait to get our own. Thank you for
mini statues at the Mothman Museum.
Maybe. Like I want a bobblehead. I want a Mothman bobblehead.
Oh, perfect. God, I'm worried because it's either the kind of museum that has like a ton of really cheap merch, or because they don't ever sell merch, they just super high price it. If it's really cheap, I'm buying so much shit.
You're gonna come back with like just the
I Met Mothman t-shirt.
You know, like when you go and see like a Broadway play or a concert even, it's like all of the concert merch. It's like the t-shirt, the coffee cup, the
CD.
lanyard, the CD, it's all of that shit. You're going to buy all of it.
Yep. Mothman.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the QuickTime Event Podcast. If you liked what you heard, you can find this podcast live on twitch.tv/QTE Plays every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and on all of your favorite podcast services all across the internet shortly after the live show ends, as well as on YouTube, both in its entirety and broken down topic by topic, day by day. You can find me on Twitter at Josh Clasen. John is on Twitter at John Kaminko. We will continue with our Persona 4 Let's Play series on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will be kicking off our Extra Life rewards starting on April 17th, Saturday at 10 a.m. with our 12-hour Overwatch stream. Then with the 24-hour Extra Life to Electric Boogaloo on May 29th. At 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Join us for those. Thank you all for all of your support. Go join our Discord server. Come be friends with us. And have yourselves a terrific weekend.
Happy Easter to those who celebrate.
Except for Zipper. Zipper can go fuck himself.
That's true. Yeah, he can go straight to hell.
And on that note, we'll see you next time.
Peace out.